how much do you want to feed into the past and let that control the present, in terms of like, how about we try to be as present as we can be at this Christmas or this Thanksgiving or this New Year's. It doesn't have to be bad or emotional, or I don't have to be on high alert. And I think that takes time and practice, and like that's helped me though.
Welcome back to the PMR podcast. My name's Andrew. I'm an alcoholic and an addict. We want to wish everyone a happy holiday, a happy new year, and just really excited to be here. As you can see, I'm all dressed up for the occasion. I have a collared shirt. I have khakis on. Usually I'm in sweats and a sweatshirt, so it must be a special day here on the pod.
That's right. Welcome back. My name is Mitch. I'm an addict alcoholic. I'm dressed down. I may be dressed up tomorrow. But yeah, no, super excited for today, talking about the holidays and gratitude, um, and just see kind of what we get into. I know, and I really enjoyed last week's episode,
Hmm.
talking about our experiences as being newcomers. Um, and uh, I think, like you were just saying, that it definitely helped us to is not identifying as newcomers right now. Um, but it's good. There's a reason why they say the newcomer is the most important person in the room, is because we can never, we should never forget that. That's like one of the pieces that keeps us sober is
Hmm.
remembering how it was and seeing how it is for someone new to the program and how you can get back there like that.
Yeah, I mean that's what they say. Most important person in any meeting is the newcomer. So it's we were just talking about it. It was a really helpful episode for me, and you said something amazing before we started recording. If I could share, just like you're like, I can't wait, like to feel how I'll feel after we're done recording. Like, and that's such a true thing for me is sitting here and doing these with you is it's a gift. And it I feel like a newcomer in these podcast episodes because I come in with we'll pick a topic and sometimes we're more organized than others, and sometimes we have guests, and sometimes we've talked a lot and at length about what we want to do for a topic, and sometimes we haven't talked very much about what we want to do for a topic. But regardless, like I come in with an idea of what I'm going to say, and whatever happens in the episode usually shatters my expectations of what we were going to talk about. You know what I mean? Like we go a different direction, or it doesn't. I didn't get to say something that I thought I wanted to say, but what actually happened was so much better than I could have even imagined it going. Like it's amazing how God works like that. And just kind of directs us where we need to be. And if it's kind of like I heard in a meeting recently, like that somebody was so glad that what they wished for hadn't come true. You know what I mean? Because if it had, they would have been selling themselves so short. When they first got sober, what they wished had come true for them, in the future, and it didn't, and something different happened, and they were grateful for that, because if that thing had, if all those things they wanted had come true, they would have been selling themselves way short. That's how I feel in these episodes, dude. Like I come in and I'm like, I want it to go this way, and it doesn't go that way, but it's so much better. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Uh, Something about just like living presently and being rigorously honest kind of leads you to the spot that you'll be content with, I think.
Hmm,
Uh,
I
yeah, but I,
agree.
I agree. I was just talking to a newer guy, about all his goals and stuff like that and how he's going to get this and get that. And I was like, also try to be open to the possibility of your wants and stuff like that changing. and that not being something that you're interested in, um, later. Like uh, a sober brain, has different ideas, I think,
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to like that over time. But um, I feel like I was kind of lucky, at least that when I was in treatment, I met a counselor in there that I like really loved, and kind of inspired me at that point to try to do that. But it also took me, like, I probably would have told you I want to be a counselor in a year into sobriety, and I'm still not. And it took me a little bit of time to get into working in recovery. So yeah, I agree though. It all happens on someone else's time, which is perfect for me.
Yeah, but that journey, right? Like you've learned a lot in seven
Yeah.
years, I'd say, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And you probably bringing an energy to your work now that wouldn't have been possible if you hopped right into it.
Yeah, that's true.
It's beautiful. But anyway, just thinking about the holidays, thinking about Christmas and New Year's and whatever you celebrate, it's uh as a sober person and as for me a relatively new sober person in this program, it's and we've talked about this. We talked about this a year ago. It's crazy. It's crazy. I was just thinking about it being episode 67 and like, we're 2/3 away to 100, baby. Like that's crazy. That's amazing. But last year around this time, we were talking about the same thing. And, um, you know, this is a tough time of year for a lot of people. It's not a great time of year for me, but, there are a lot of kind of hidden gems in this time of year. You know what I mean? Like, I struggle sometimes being with some family, and it's not like they're bad or I don't like them or I don't love them, but there's tough memories there and there's things that trigger me and I didn't know that, I didn't have the coping mechanisms, real early the first couple years in recovery and I think I suffered because of that and I think the people around me also suffered. Like it was just a kind of I kind of came in like this, like really tight fisted and just really just wanted to get through it. I didn't feel present. Do you like how did you get through that? Like your first couple years, it wasn't easy for me.
Yeah. I don't think it was easy for me either. Um, I think my first Christmas in recovery, well, I had about 40 days sober.
Mm.
I had just got out of rehab, and was back home, started IOP, and the Ravens lost on Christmas night to the Steelers. That was my first Christmas, so it was terrible. No, but I mean, the early Christmases and Thanksgivings, I had a lot of ideas in my head of how they had been and how bad it had been and how blah blah blah. And uh, upon reflection, that's really not true. A lot of it was like self-imposed, and like going into it with a bad feeling or thought. Um, and I think once I started to realize that more, the Christmases got better. But I only spent my first three with my mom, and then when I moved out to California, I spent a couple of the Christmases and Thanksgivings with family and friends. And I think the only way to do it is go through it kind of to an extent. I know this the last 2 years, I've been really big on you are the story you tell yourself. So kind of like looking at past experiences and holidays in a more fair way instead of like and that doesn't discredit like me also saying like yeah, emotions do come up and I do get squirrely, around this time. That's fair. But it's also like uh I don't know. How much do you want to feed into the past and let that control the present, in terms of like how about we try to be as present as we can be at this Christmas or this Thanksgiving or this New Year's? It doesn't have to be bad or emotional, or I don't have to be on high alert. And I think that takes time and practice and like that's helped me though.
Yeah, and it's like you said, like the only way to do it is to go through it. And it is true. It's like nothing's wrong, right? And everything that we a lot of the my perceived, problems and kind of, the things that aren't going well are like it's a lot of it's self-imposed. It's all like you said, it's because I'm struggling. It's because I'm going through something. It's because I'm not, I'm not doing the right thing. I'm not thinking the right thing. Like right action and right thought is a difficult thing to get even in sobriety. Like my default is self-pity and fear and self-centeredness, and getting out of that is hard. um and walking through, and I think the first couple Christmases sober, and I don't know if you ever did this, like it's almost like I would go and go to these family events and these family parties, or just be around people, and they might be drinking, they might not, like there might be alcohol around, there might not be, but I always like, and this is something that goes back to my active addiction. I always pitted myself against others, like, and because of that, like Christmas became an ultimate test, like of pitting myself against, the drinkers or the regular people, or, the non-alcoholics, and all the people who have it easier than me is how I would frame it. Like, oh, they get to go enjoy and do that. And that's such a miserable way to live. And I just did that. Like I did that. And it made everything less enjoyable, and that's, that's where it comes in. I'm my own worst enemy, and I will do that unless it's pointed out to me, hey, you don't have to do this anymore.
Hmm.
Because and I don't I don't get that, unless I tell, my sponsor, I tell you, I tell somebody else. I think that's another thing that really helps me today in these situations and these holidays and these things that kind of break up routine. I was thinking, and I was actually talking to my dad last night, and he said, "Why do you like get so jammed up during the holidays?" And he might have not worded it like that, but that's pretty much what he was asking. And I just told him it's because I'm out of my routine. Like it's something different. And, I now associate a lot of my sobriety and recovery with like this, like how solid my routine is. Like if I'm in my routine and I'm hitting all the things that matter to me, like going to meetings and exercising and praying and, all of the above, then it's all good. But the minute something gets thrown in there that kind of wrenches it and makes it different, I get squirrely, and that might be an experience. I'm not sure, but that's just a reason I think that sometimes this holiday season can be hard. But I think it's like anything else. Like in the gym, you want to challenge yourself, so it's like a muscle. Like I have to challenge it. Like, can I remain, at peace, and can I get that serenity and stay in conscious contact with God all through all this chaos? Like, and that's a hard thing to do.
Yeah. No, I like that piece, the routine piece. I agree with that. It does kind of like change things up, especially if you're traveling or going to these like events and stuff like that. It's not what, you're used to on a normal Monday to Friday. I also think that um I think that like for me, I felt and like addicts may have felt like very other, or like the holidays weren't good enough, or it was never what I wanted, or I was always looking at other families and like not appreciating that my family was just like my mom and I, you know,
Mm.
and didn't go how I wanted it to go. And so because of that, that carried over into sobriety in terms of like, oh, it's still not what I want. Like, I'm still not getting what I want present wise. I'm not feeling what I want. There's not family here, an inability to appreciate and be grateful for what I do have,
Mm,
which is, my mom being there, my dogs being there, getting calls and texts from friends, which I've really tried to look at more uh, accurately and truthfully in the past couple holidays. Like,
right.
start to like see some of the things that did agitate me before and now kind of see it in a light of like that's dope, if you have like someone at the party that's like getting hammered, or you have someone at the party that's like acting crazy or whatever, now kind of be like, oh, that's dope, like that's a cool little addition to the family or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's like trying to take a perspective more of like understanding too, you know uh that like maybe you can be the energy that brings, like, other people are stressed too, during the holidays, not just us. So maybe we could bring that calming energy to the holidays, you
Mm.
know, uh, instead of maybe getting stuck in that, like, what did I hear this week that I fucking loved? Uh, the self-obsession. Like this guy shared on how his mom was dying and he's about to be 10 years sober, and he was started to cry. He was like, I don't know if I've done enough for her or if I could do enough for her right now, and like, she, I feel like I should be with her all the time, and like he got a lot of support. And then an OG was like, be careful of self-obsession. Like, you're almost 10 years sober. Have you been going to see her? Yes. Like, have you been of service to her? And you got sober. She knows that you've been sober, you know, um, go when you can go, show up when you can show up. And that's the best that you can do. Once you start getting into thoughts of like, I'm not doing enough, that's self-obsession. You've now turned your mom dying into like you. And I thought after like an initial wave of like a lot of support for him, that was like some real shit, because he needed both for sure. I needed to hear both for sure too. But like, it's interesting that we will try to turn, most situations back into like me. Um, and the guy didn't say it meanfully or anything like that, but it was really interesting to hear that and see that like that was kind of true.
Yeah, that's just what I need to hear, right? Like, I've been going through similar, not the same life situation, and it's amazing you say that. It's like, because I thank God, nobody in my family is, is I'm not in the same situation, but and I've talked to you about this at length. The last couple weeks, I've been totally in my head about an aspect of my recovery, and part of my, conscious contact with God. And in that, vein, I've been trying to like really do everything. And with prayer, I've been spending a lot of time trying to be perfect. And in that, I think I'm serving my recovery, and I'm serving others, and I'm praying for others, and I'm hitting all those spots like, oh, I should be, this is good. And prayer is good, and prayer is vital for me. But there's a line between serving my recovery and making me a better person versus obsessing over myself.
Hmm.
And like, I love that you just said that, dude, because I've, my prayer has crossed that line where I'm not actually focused on God anymore. I'm focused on the words that I'm saying and how I look and how I feel, and how perfect my action has to be. Whereas my action doesn't have to be perfect. And the way that I pray doesn't have to be perfect. It's all about like, in the same way this guy wanted to be, what it's the same way the OG asked, like, hey, are you of service to her? Have you been around for her? Yes and yes. Okay. Like done. Like, oh, am I trying to, am I attempting to have conscious contact with God? Am I setting aside time in the morning to do so? Yes, yes. Okay, done.
Hmm.
Like any other thought beyond that is like is self-obsession, and it removes me from like the flow of life. You know what I mean? And that's the way it is with a lot of this stuff, and that's the way it is with a lot of the spending time with family and the holidays. Like I'll go from that line is really thin, like from being of service and making things easier for my family and spending time with my family to boom, now I'm in self obsession. Like instead of just being there with them and spending time with them, I'm obsessed with, am I doing enough for them? Am I spending enough time with them? Am I talking? Like, am I around? Am I present? Am I over and over again? These things will be racking my brain. Does it like, and I don't really know the way to get out of that besides to talk to another alcoholic, right? Like, I feel like
Hmm.
that's it for me because I don't get out of that. Like, my brain doesn't work like that. It's not just going to tell me, oh, I'm okay. Like, let's just keep moving. Like, I need to talk to somebody. And I think that's a huge tool for me. Like, at this time in the holidays, this time in my recovery is like, I got to call you. Like, I called you last night and we had a good conversation. I called you because I was struggling. Like, and that conversation helped me a ton. Like, I call my sponsor, I call somebody from Heron. Like, I gotta talk to somebody who might have an idea of what it's like to be going through what I'm going through,
Mm.
you know?
Yeah. And you calling me and you being honest with me has always helped me too. You know what I mean? Same for
Mm,
when I call you. So it is like one of the strongest weapons that we have to talk to or reach out to or have someone else reach out to us, you know. Um, just because for obvious reasons of like, yeah, if I keep these thoughts and ideas and shit to myself, um, it's not gonna be good. It's not gonna be
no.
good. But yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you on like, I had never really thought of that. So it was so clear to me when that the OG kind of explained it that way. I even called my sponsor after that and talked to him. He was like, "Yeah, that's beautiful," and it's interesting. Um, it just kind of what one of those moments in a meeting or in a conversation where like you might have been hearing it for years or might have been
Mm-hmm.
hearing it for however long. And then whatever for reason at that time, it like really bonked you on the head, you know,
Yep.
like it really went through and saved. Um, but yeah, in terms of the holidays though, to change it a little bit, I'm super excited and grateful that I get to go this Christmas. Last Christmas I worked. This Christmas I'm going to be able to go hang out with my mom and my grandma, which is going to be dope. I haven't seen my mom in well since my grandma had that stroke.
Mm-hmm.
But before then, I hadn't seen her for a while, so it'll be good to be there. I think we're just gonna chill with grandma all Christmas. I think I've been nervous. I think that's like I called you. I was telling you I've been agitated, a little angry this week, more than usual. I think there might be some fear and anxiety about seeing my grandma in that state again, you know. Where she kind of she's there for sure. She can kind of see, she can kind of get up and move around a little bit, but struggles to talk and stuff. And it's hard to see her like that, I think, for me. And that's like the for me, it's hard for me to look at her, right? Like, how do you think it is for her to be in that state for the last 7 months? There's a perfect example right there.
Yep.
But I am excited to be there and spend that time with her and my mom and see my dogs. So it'll be a short trip, but I'm excited for that.
That's
Definitely.
amazing. And
Yeah.
it's like, um, you know, there's fear, but there's also gratitude. Like, that you get to see your grandma, you get to see your mother. You haven't seen your mother in a while. It's amazing. Just to this is something for me. Like I never thought I'd be. I never thought I'd be excited to just hang out with family. You know what I mean? Ever.
Yeah.
That was like, no, I mean, when I was with family, I was thinking of ways to get away. Like, I was thinking about when can I leave? When can I sneak off and use? How much, booze can I sneak here? Like, what can I do to get away from all this? And, and that's a tough way to go through life. And that's sad, really, is what it is. Um, to do that, to your family and to do that to my family and to just not be present. And I think one of the things I'm most especially grateful for this Christmas is, I have the opportunity to be, to actually be where my feet are. You know what I mean? Like to have my head and my thoughts where I'm actually standing. And to have like the presence of mind to just be existing with my family. And that's rare for me. Even in sobriety. Like even in sobriety, I'm rarely like my head and my heart are rarely where my feet are.
Mm.
Um I'm often thinking of other things. I'm often thinking about something I didn't do right earlier or something I want to do later or thinking about a person, thinking about a relationship I'm not even present with what I'm actually doing at that moment. And I we both have the opportunity to do that. This holiday, you can go and visit your grandmother and your mother and have one experience where you're with them and you're grateful for the time with them and you're feeling that and it's terrific, or wishing that you were back in LA or wishing that you were with somebody else or that you were whatever, you know and one of those things brings a lot of joy and brings a lot of togetherness, and the other one, um it may not ruin anything, but it will certainly make it less enjoyable and make that connection with your family less real. And I don't want to live like that anymore. And I don't have to, and we don't have to. So, and a big part of that for me is in order to be present with my family, I need to take time to not be with my family and to go to meetings. Like for real. Like if I'm just gonna forsake my entire recovery and just spend, days straight with the family, not really kind of forget about, going to meetings, whatever, then I'm going to end up, that time is not going to be time well spent with them. But if I take a couple hours every day and do the things that keep me on the beam, then although it's a couple hours less time that I spend with my family, that time that I spend with them is going to be unbelievable. It's going to be way better.
Yeah, I agree. And I've had experiences where I've chosen to do what you just described, and it was true. You know, like being present in those times, stuff like that,
Mm,
uh, is definitely the best way for me to go about it too.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's interesting how we always like, or not always, we like, I don't know, trying to get to like to the root of the anxiety and stuff like that behind holidays, but uh because I feel like we've done like a couple episodes on holidays to this point too. I think it's just a
Mm-hmm.
lot of it is like, what do you think? Like, feeling like it's just not being good enough or not being, what do you think? Like,
Man,
what was our aversion from being present before?
I feel alone at the holidays, somewhat. Um, and I'm not alone. I mean, there's millions of other people going through the same type of thing. I feel alone because, and like quite simply from like a just a kind of logistical perspective, like people are drinking more.
Hmm.
People are partying, not partying like going to raves and festivals and all that type of stuff, but they're
New Year's.
partying. What?
New Year's.
Yeah, New Year's is a disaster. I'll be in bed by 9 on New Year's. Like that's just how it rolls for me, man. I don't even want to be a part like, and that's okay. But on the one hand, I like part of the time I'll be like, yeah, like I love this. This is a great lifestyle. This is I'm doing great. And then I'll get stuck and I'll start thinking, dang, like I wish I could be out there doing doing what partying and drugging and drinking and doing whatever on New Year's. And New Year's is always a massive letdown anyway. It's never exactly, at least for me in my years using and drinking, it was never what I imagined it would be. Um, I didn't kiss the pretty girl at midnight like I thought I was gonna. So that's not easy for me sometimes when I'm getting in that headspace of like I wish I could join. I wish I could drink. I wish I could I wish I could just party like a normal person. I wish I could, have a couple of drinks with my family, like while we're all at this holiday. And whatever, like those thoughts exist and that's okay, but that doesn't serve me. Um, but doesn't make it makes it like those are real thoughts. Those come in. Like I don't just like I don't go through the whole holiday like with immense gratitude that I'm sober. Like
Hmm.
I wish I did, but I don't. Um, so that's real. And the other part like is the part that I've already mentioned. Like my routine is thrown kind of to the wayside. And because of that, maybe I'm going to less meetings and and then there's the memories, and if I get trapped in that morbid reflection, which you always talk about, then I'm in huge trouble.
Yeah.
Like that's easy. That's a default for me. I'll get trapped in it and that's it. Game over. Like suck the joy right out of me. I'm no longer in the room.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gone. I'm thousands of miles away thinking about something else.
I like that. It's true. It's honest. Yeah. Yeah, I agree too. I was wondering. I feel like the holidays are like an alcoholic or addict's kryptonite. It's like
Mm.
the image of togetherness and happy and like everything that if you're really in your addiction, you're not trying to be a part of that at all.
Mm-mm.
There's no way you want to be a part of that. So that carries over into our sobriety, I think, until we can start getting the broom out, really get to sweeping. Um, yeah. I know
Yeah.
you mentioned in the beginning too, like talking about uh, doing some gratitude,
Mm. Yeah.
where we're at with that gratitude
Yeah. I
list.
mean,
You said gratitude group.
yeah. Like, so we've done this at Heron. Um, every Friday night and I worked a lot of Friday nights. We'd we'd pick topics about what we are grateful for. And it'd be like, let's talk about family members we're grateful for, or like we could have a pet gratitude group and like we could have a nature gratitude group and let's talk about a relationship gratitude group or something like that. Anything. Higher power gratitude group. And I think for us right now, like given, we're just to speak on my own life and what we've talked about, like we're both going through some stuff. And that's cool, but that's just life. That's how it is. And because of that, for me, I'm having a tough time being grateful. And with all that, like something that my sponsor has taught me is, what can I find in my life that is difficult for me and that is I'm struggling with and that is making me angry or making me resentful or making me any of the the trigger points of negative kind of thought or emotion. Some, what are things in my life that are doing that to me that I can turn around and have gratitude for? Like having gratitude for my, my struggles. And that's like that's a powerful tool, and that's not something that I've done. So that's kind of what I thought we could do. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I love that. I
Hmm.
love that a lot. I've also never heard of a gratitude group with like a subject, but that's pretty dope. I'm gonna steal that. I'm sorry.
It's
Uh,
all good. That's how
yeah,
we.
that's sick. I like that. Um, but yeah, no, I'm down. I think I agree that one of Zach has been sending me gratitude. It's so funny because like the last month I'd say I've been in and out of gratitude in terms of like on a daily level. And this guy that messaged us on TikTok, he actually wants to come on the podcast.
Mm.
Talk to him on the phone. He seems really dope. He lives in or used to live in LA. I think he lives in Chicago. He's like, "You mind if I send you a gratitude list?" And I was like, "Dope." For sure. Homie sends me a gratitude list like every day since. And then I was talking to Zach and he was like, I'm gonna start sending them to you too. So I'm getting like and then we do gratitude lists at work and it's like I'm out of gratitude, but it's just like God is just like throwing gratitude lists at
Hmm.
me, bro, daily. Just these long ones too, like 10 people, 10 things, and I'm like, motherfucker. No, I'm just kidding. But it's beautiful how that works, I think.
Oh yeah, it is, and it's we get what we need when we need it.
Yeah.
And I need this group today for sure.
Yeah.
Um, and just to I don't know, maybe to kick us off, like something that I've definitely been struggling with. I've been going through it, and we've talked about it a little bit already. But this self-obsession thing is real for me, and it for me it's circling, centered around prayer, and perfection, and needing to be perfect and looking for that perfection, and yeah, and it's been hard. It's been a hard thing to overcome, not overcome, but just to have peace with um having a healthy relationship with God. Um, but within all this, like and again, like some days it's been again, it's sometimes it's hard because sometimes I don't even want to pull myself out of bed, like because I know that like something I have to do in the morning is get on my knees and pray. And if I do that, I know and I'm worried that I'm gonna get stuck, in my kind of obsession and my compulsion to just to try to get that perfect prayer and like really overstretching and um and that's not a being sober and not wanting to get out of bed is not a place that I want to be.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I didn't want to get out of bed at all when I was using, and that was just normal, and I was fine with it. Whatever. Like, of course, I don't want to get out of bed, but to not want to get out of bed, to not want to start my day, to not want to be around people, and to like do my thing, and get active in my relationships, and just get going and get moving as a sober person, not wanting to do that, is scary. It's not a good like it's a dangerous place. Um, so instead of thinking about this situation, and this, this obsession, like it's a curse, like it's a problem, like it's a thorn in my side, I'm trying to look at it as an opportunity to re-examine, my belief in a higher power. Not re-examine like, oh, I don't think I believe in God anymore. Um, but what does it mean to believe in God? What does it mean to pray? What does it mean to search for that conscious contact with our higher power? This is wicked important. This is step two, step three, like we're praying for our character defects to be removed later on in the steps, 11 and 12 and 10, 11 and 12 we're talking about, inventorying and then prayer and meditation and daily and then, having had a spiritual awakening where, so all of these steps that we're doing like are contingent upon us having a healthy relationship with God in some way, our God, our understanding. So, you know, and that's just for my program, but it's like I need to have a healthy relationship with this God. And instead of looking at it like I'm struggling with it, I'm trying to practice gratitude um for the ability to pray and the ability like it's a privilege to like to have a relationship with God. Even no matter what that relationship is right now, like I don't because I didn't believe in God like when I was using. I might have at some points. I had a lot of foxhole prayers. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? Like I'm everything's kind of going to going to crap. Like I need to pray. I need to get out of this. I need to not get pulled over. I need to not go to jail. I need to not get caught. I need to not whatever. And I had a lot of those. And I don't think I really believed in God. I just like, oh, this is what you do when you're in trouble. And today I do. And so like that simply is enough for me to have like gratitude. Like look where I was and look where I am now. Um and so that's definitely something for me that, and it's hard. Like I'm not going to sit here and tell you like, oh, I just explained where I'm, trying to come from with this gratitude thing. So yeah, I'm grateful for it. Like, no, that's, I'll probably wake up tomorrow and say, oh, here we go again. Like, but gratitude's an action word, and I'm trying to apply it, and that's the most important thing. Like, I'm not just going to feel it all the time. I got to do things like to get me there, you know?
Yeah. Gratitude's an action word. I like that. That was dope.
Mm.
I agree with you too. It's like I've been when we've been talking about the prayer thing that you've been talking to me about. It's interesting because it feels like to me that you're like um super bought in. And I felt like this when I first met you, bro. You're super bought into the program. You work a hard program. You want to be better. You want to be of service. You want to help others. You want to help yourself. You're down to listen to whatever is advised. I picked up on that when I first talked to you, really. I always respected that and admired that. I think you've done the same thing with prayer. It's like, I'm gonna pray, I'm gonna pray, I'm gonna be the best prayer there ever was, dog. Like, and it's probably one of the things where it's like, uh, that the like going hardcore on prayer. Uh, maybe that's not, I mean, you'll find it. I know you will. Whatever way works for you. The best part about prayer really is that like it's your higher power. It's your conscious contact. Any contact, positive, negative, long, short, obsessive, not obsessive, it's contact, you know. So I think that's a cool part about it. I
Mm.
think the reason I point out how I always watched you about how like, how you attack your recovery and respect it. I feel like I've been a little bit more lackadaisical eh, in points and in terms of prayer. You're telling me like yours is super long. I feel like mine's super short. And so maybe we could meet in the middle somewhere,
I like
Uh,
that.
yeah. Like I think um yeah, I think that's all I was gonna say. But in terms of where I'm at, I mentioned to you I've been angry. And that kind of scares me a little bit. And I talked to my sponsor,
Mm,
and he was like, you're still a normal person. You're sober. Being upset is normal. If you start to take actions, that's something that we need to look at. If you're lashing out, if you're hurting others, stuff like that, which I haven't, and I'm thankful that I haven't, but it's kind of like an internalized, I can feel that rage that I used to have pretty much daily. And so because we've gotten to this point, we're a little bit more attuned to ourselves,
mm,
it's like very obvious that I'm like, seeing red. And like even yesterday, you like walk me down, you're like deep breaths. And it's crazy now because I was like driving fast uh and for like 30 seconds. And then I was able to catch it, take a deep breath, and like go back to chilling, which is really wild that I've gotten to a point where uh that happens.
hmm.
But uh it it's been worrying me that I've been angry, and I think a lot of it is coming from like stress from work, and like I think it's just been like a hard last 2 months of like there's been podcast stuff, relationship life stuff, work stuff. um I knew the holidays were coming, my sobriety date, um and all really beautiful things, and I've had beautiful moments. um it just feels like I was talking to uh my girlfriend about like how I feel like I've been putting band-aid fixes on things. Like, and then that's why I have that like pop, I have that like 5, 10 minute, 30 minute, hour rage.
Yep.
And then call you and call someone else and band-aid fix and band-aid fix. So I've been thinking more and more and more about uh outside help and therapy, I think.
Mm,
That's interesting that we kind of ended up here on what what I was trying to get to, but yeah, I'll just be honest. Yeah, I think some of this stuff, like the our program helps a ton. I wouldn't discredit that at all, but I think there's some things that I think I'm in a spot now where I'm ready to attack those.
yeah.
Uh, with outside help, if you even call it, if you people are even still calling it outside help, I mean, it's really all the same thing.
It's just
But
help.
yeah, it's just help. But in terms of turning that into gratitude, I think that I'm grateful that um, I have the ability to realize that where I'm at. Like I guess I'm just grateful for that things are happening all around me at all the same time, and I'm very aware of it. You know,
Hmm.
I'm very aware of it, so I'm grateful for that. And being able to reset at any time. I don't
Mm,
have to like be angry for. I haven't been angry the last 2 months. I've had pockets of being angry and upset. And I'm grateful that through what I've been taught and told, that I've done what I've been taught and told. Like inventories, call people, reach out, share, be honest. It could have been a terrible 2 months if I wanted to, and it hasn't been.
right. Right. And I mean, I love your perspective on this because it's so easy and we talked about this on the phone, and anger is, I get pleasure from anger.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like getting real angry and like hitting something. Oof.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah. We were just talking about that.
that's a high for me. Like it's a very short high because as soon as I hit that thing and the pain goes through my hand and maybe it's broken, like the thing that I hit, that it's over. The high's over. But anger is addictive, and it's a dangerous drug. Um, and you recognize that. Like seeing red is like I know what that means, and it's um that used to be a comfort zone for me.
Yeah.
Like I was seeing everything was red all the time. Like I've just everybody made me angry, everything. Like I loved finding an excuse to be angry at something. So I know I identify with that. And I think the thing that you've done and that that you mentioned in your gratitude is like you haven't allowed this to to stop your progress. Like you're not moving backwards. it might feel like you are, and it's because you're not moving maybe forward at the clip, you were when you're not angry. But like these type of things, what they usually do to us when we're not in the right headspace, um, and these elevated kind of just emotions, whether it's anger or sadness or like they bring they make us go backwards in our progress. Like we start to devolve, we start to get worse.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't think you've let that happen. I think you've learned a lot about yourself. Um, and you did something that goes against every instinct of your addiction, which is I don't want this anger. I don't want this to be a part of my life. So I'm gonna figure out and do some work uh, to address where it's coming from and address, largely where my emotions are coming from and how I can kind of improve them. And that's therapy. Um,
Mhm.
therapy is for me, it's needed, man. Like, and people don't, and in the program, people don't rip on it, but some people are like, this is the only therapy I need.
That's
And
right.
I'm like, well, like, all right, word, like that's great. Like, I'm very happy for you that that's the case. But for me, that's not true. That's just not. And that's just for me. But and I spent some time thinking about like, wow, I like think feeling bad for myself. Like, wow, I need AA and I need therapy, and I'm really broken. Like, this stinks. And come to find out that I need even more than that, apparently. But it's amazing to hear. Whereas I don't know, maybe even recently, maybe even like since I met you, maybe before that, like this could have spiraled for you into not you like drinking and doing drugs, but you just like getting in a place where you're angry for
Hmm.
months.
Hmm.
And
Definitely.
you've been angry through the days, like periods of time during the day, but you don't sit in it. Like sitting in it is the worst thing that we could do, dude.
Yeah, I agree.
Sitting in any of those emotions is awful.
Yeah.
Um, and I just applaud you for not sitting in it. And like I think it sounds weird, but I think having gratitude for your anger
Mm.
could disarm it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, oh, like thank you for showing up and showing me that I need to take some action.
Yeah, yeah, that's beautiful.
You know what I mean? Like that's how I feel about a lot of the things that emotions that come into my life, like especially like the self-pity, which is often about like, oh, I'm not at this point in my life, I'm not, and feeling like I want to be further along with everything else like that. When that comes in, I try to thank it, like, oh, like good to see you again. Like
Mm.
that must mean I need to do something. Thanks for indicating that. Like word. All right, let's do
Yeah.
something. Um, it takes its power away. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's really dope. I appreciate you saying that. That was another fucking light switch for me. Appreciate the anger for showing up to show me something. I feel like clinically anger they always talk about is an iceberg emotion, and there's the fear and sadness
Mm.
and whatever buried underneath it. But I love the idea or the perspective. I'm gonna steal that too. Like, grateful for the anger showing up. Show me where, something's needs to be looked at, something's off or whatever. Or it's not off, but something needs to be looked at. Um, that's dope.
So I know we're getting close to wrapping this episode up, but I did want to ask, you know, this is our last episode before the new year.
Yeah.
So what And I'm not like a huge resolution guy. Like it's not, I like steadiness, like steady improvement, not just like, all right, now once a year we're gonna make all these goals. Like I'd like, we're gonna continuously through the year be stacking up goals, and it's not just gonna start and stop at the new year. But I think it's fun to think about, positive mental imagery, right? And like where we want to be, and what kind of energy we want to bring in, and what we want to be for ourselves in the new year. What kind of person we want to be. So I'm putting you on the spot right now because we didn't talk about this before the episode, but I want to know, going into the new year, what do we want to bring in? What do we want to see? And this is internal and this is also external, because whatever, like external things won't keep us sober, but achieving stuff in the external world is also good for us.
Yeah.
So what do we think?
Yeah, I like that. For the last 3 years on New Year's Eve, before I go to sleep or before it hits 12, I have created a list of like goals, intentions, whatever. I think I'm going to do that again this year. And as we were talking, I was like, what am I going to put on it? Because I try to do it kind of in that moment, not plan it as much. It is really fascinating to look at the last 2 years lists and how they kind of differ and which
Mm,
ones I hit and which ones I didn't, stuff like that, and how the verbiage has changed. I'll tell you this, the one 2 years ago was like money,
mm.
money, car. Fucking, it
I
was like
remember that. I didn't
become
know
like,
you, but I know about the lists.
yeah, it was nuts. And last year was more it had a little bit more, some of that too, but it was more service centered and, our principles. In terms of going into 2024, that's where we're going, right?
I think
Uh,
so.
yeah, man. I mean, I have a lot of hopes and dreams and wishes and wants. We'll see if they show up on the 31st. Uh, I think, you know, the classic. I think I want to continue to get outside of myself, and what I found works is being of service. I think that'll be there. I
Mm.
think I like the idea of being a loving, safe place. That'd be a good thing to shoot for. Uh, that'll be interesting. I don't know if anything. It probably will if I'm being honest, but I don't know if anything like work or I have goals for things. I don't know. I think those are my two right now.
You say that to me, being a loving, safe place. You say that to me a lot.
Yeah.
You say that to me when I ask for ways to, to improve my prayers. And just make me bring me some peace of mind. And I love that. Like that's a really beautiful thing to want to be like, because you're not saying like just for others, you're not saying just for yourself, like just in general, like you're a person like Mitch, you want to be a loving, safe place.
Yeah.
And I think that's a beautiful thing. I kind of like that. Something I really like that you do is you do this list, but you do it like totally last minute, like right before like it's midnight, right before New Year, because I think that type of writing, that's when like it's like stream of consciousness. It's like,
Hmm.
what do we really want? It doesn't give us time to think like, what's the right thing to want? It's like,
Yeah,
no, what do
exactly.
I actually, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's kind of why I wanted to ask you on the spot. And I think you gave me a really good answer. I mean, for me, it's the same. I mean, there's some external things on there, whatever, financial independence and this and that. And, I think it's funny. A lot of the things that I want in the new year just align with the promises.
Mm.
Like, and that's good, I think. But it's crazy how like just cerebral this program is. Like how well these people who founded this program knew, what largely we alcoholics want
Hmm.
and what we're looking for. Fear is a big thing for me. on mine, and fear pervades my life in a lot of ways. Fear of the past, fear of the future, fear of the present, fear of me, fear of others, fear of my job, fear of everything. I'm fearful. That is just true.
Yeah, same.
And it just doesn't do anything for me. Having a healthy fear of drugs and alcohol is really the only thing that I want to have. Like that's it. And that's a good thing to have. But I think any other fear is limiting. Something I really want to get, not get rid of, but work through and look at and see if I can work on some coping mechanisms for is like how do I process this fear?
Hmm.
And how do I, how do I turn that into something else? I think I can. I think I will, but that's it for me for this year.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
It's been a wild year, huh?
Yeah, we've seen a lot. We've done a lot. A lot of things have changed, and then a lot of things have stayed the same because we're right back on Zoom. Here we are.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I love it. I've seen a lot of growth and change in you, big
And
time.
I've seen a
Yeah,
lot of growth and change in you, my friend, and that's
yeah,
beautiful because I can't see it in myself
that's right.
at all.
Yeah,
I'm worse than ever. That's what I'm thinking. You know what I mean? That's how we get.
yeah,
That's how we
that's
get.
fair. Well, let's give ourselves some grace today. I know we spoke in the beginning. I feel zenned out. I feel good. I feel like I'm in a good spot for a good setup for the rest of the day. Uh, so I appreciate you very, very much. I hope you have a good, wonderful Christmas, even though this will come out after Christmas. If you're listening when this comes out, I hope you have a good New Year's.
Mm,
Maybe
mm.
try to do uh, some resolutions at the buzzer, see what happens, or
I
some
like
goals,
that.
whatever.
That might be a new tradition for me.
Yeah, it's
But
fun.
yeah, man, and just to echo you, happy holidays to everybody, happy new year and if you're listening and you're not sober or whatever, like just, be safe, man. This is a crazy time of year.
Yeah,
Uh, a lot of things can happen. So, just think things through before you do them. And
that's right.
and our page is always open too, man. If you're so newly sober and you're alone and you feel alone, you're not alone. So reach out and there are other people going through it too, as you can tell. We talked about it today, but I love you, man, and I'm grateful for you, and we, that goes without saying, but
Yeah,
just grateful for this podcast, the relationship we have, those calls we have when we're both pissed, because those help me more than you would ever know. So
mm,
really excited to see what happens with this pod in 2024. And
yeah.
yeah, man, it's just it's a beautiful thing.
Oh yeah, I agree with you. Uh, Appreciate you. Love you too. Very grateful for you. Excited to see where we just keep rocking and rolling, bro. You know,
Hmm.
it's a beautiful thing. Yeah. Happy holidays has been 67. I'm not sure who wears it, but we're wearing it today. So we'll keep coming back. Appreciate y'all.
I'll keep coming back. Thanks.
That's right.